The Skeleton Crew 2020 Halloween Special.
All right, Boneheads, the time is here. I am so excited for this pick. Not only just for myself, but I have been dying to talk about this movie with the Skeleton Crew. So let's get into it. Parasite from 2019. This, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it won the Oscar for Best Picture. I believe one of the first foreign films to do it, either ever or in a very long time.
The first.
Thank you, Jamie. Greed and class discrimination threaten the newly formed symbiotic relationship between the wealthy Park family and the destitute Kim clan. This is a movie I always heard about leading up to it. There's a big debate on whether this is even a horror movie or not. And so thank you guys for reviewing it here on the Skeleton Crew. And I am so excited to hear you guys' thoughts on this, because I know I've been trying to hear Jamie's thoughts on it for a while. You haven't really tipped your hat as to whether you liked it or not. And Alex, I am dying to hear what you got to say about this. Written and directed by, let's see if I get this name right, Bong Joon-ho. That's right. I picked a movie by a director named Bong.
Wow, how fitting.
How fitting indeed. I'll say this about this guy too. When they were at the Oscars, he had his translator. He was so excited to be there. He was following around Quentin Tarantino like a fanboy. Like, I loved this movie, not knowing anything about it, obviously not having any preconceived notions of it or whatever. And I got to say, after all said and done, after it won the Oscar, and I do believe it should have won the Oscar as well, I love this guy so much more. And I'm so excited to see what he does next with it. But I'm dying to know. I want to start with Jamie. Jamie, what are your thoughts, general thoughts on Parasite from 2019?
The first thing that comes to mind is how timely it is, considering right now we as a world are in a place where there is definitely a distinction between people with money and people without, as far as how people are individually handling quarantine and lockdown and things like that. And there has been a lot of discussion about celebrities saying things like, we're all in this together, while they are quarantined in their mansions with their pools and their, and their private chefs and whatever.
I don't have sauna, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, right. Now, while I don't begrudge them those things, and I think, good for them that they are able to be in comfort and style, but there was one specific scene in this film that really brought that to mind, and it's when, there is the Kim family is subjected to a flood where water is just pouring into their windows because they live in a basement, and like poop water is coming up out of the toilet and it's all sewage. It's disgusting. And they're having to wade through this, and they're having to fight this. And then they go to work. The father goes to drive this rich woman around, and he's listening to her on the phone saying, oh, well, since all the rain, the pollution's down and the grass is so green. It's such a beautiful day. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That right there is the difference. And right. I honestly started to cry. Like this, it's so nail on the head, right, as far as looking at the differences between different classes and really how oblivious they can be to what's going on around them because she's completely oblivious to that. You know, she's bummed because their camping trip was canceled. You know, meanwhile, these people are being flooded out of their homes. So it's it really just blew me away. It really did. I was in love with it. It's funny. It's dark. I wouldn't say it's a horror film. To me, it's honestly, it's like a family, not a family comedy, but I'm like, it's about family. It's like a comedy or like a family. It's a family drama with a lot of dark comedy.
Right.
And it gets really dark toward the end. And I appreciate that. So in the very beginning, like through the majority of the film, it's just like this family drama, and there's a lot of funny stuff. But then you get to the end, and it goes dark, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Going.
You know. Yep. So, but I like that. I like it a lot. I really had a good time with this, and then I cried.
Yeah. What about you, Alex?
Well, I will start off by saying Hulu does not think this is a horror film, and Dan thought I must have been like out of my mind when he first suggested to watch this, because I had nothing but questions. Because we start off and it says I go to Hulu and I put Parasite and it says comedy movie, and I'm like, huh. This doesn't seem right. I was like, there's no way. I was like, hey, Dan, is it Parasite, like, on Hulu, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So then all of a sudden I start watching, and all of a sudden I'm reading subtitles. I'm like, huh, he didn't mention anything about that. Comedy and there's subtitles? Let me just double check. Hey, is there subtitles in this? And you were like,
you asked me like 3 different ways. Like, I forget how exactly you worded it, but you were like, dude, are you sure? And then you were like, subtitles? I said, yup.
Yeah, because I was like, listen, if I'm going to read 2 hours of subtitles, this better be the right movie. I'm just telling you that much right now.
But then the kicker was, I was like, I don't think Alex wants to watch this movie.
Oh, yeah, I know. And then 45 minutes in, I wrote to him and I go, hey, Dan, so far all they did was try to get jobs. Are you sure this is a horror movie? And he goes, horror elements. So it really sounded like I'm trying to not watch this or something, but that's not the case at all.
Well, no, because then Hulu wouldn't couldn't log into Hulu. I was like, come on. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
then my app kept failing, and then he must have thought I was really trying to get out of this. And I'm like, listen, I even sent screenshots and everything, but no, dude, this director. He is actually great. He did The Host, Memories of Murder, Snowpiercer, Okja. Like, this is huge, this guy. He has mastered filmmaking. His shots, the way he presents stories, the little nuances he puts in, the way he films things, the way he has you see things through people's eyes, the way the rain looked to one person compared to how it looked to another person, the expressions on the face that you don't have to hear or say anything, but you know what they're thinking. Mm-hmm. And I want to point out one of the things Jamie pointed out when the lady was talking about the rain and how it interrupted this or that, or it took down the smog or whatever in the air, and this guy is, getting flooded out of his house. What I want to point out is, although, they point out how rich people just have no idea what's going on in the world because their lives are really great and horrible things are happening to other people, they did it in such a way, and it was shot and written in such a way. The rich people were not obnoxious at all, and they weren't dumb at all. At all. Like, they
even say they're nice. They even, they even bring up how nice she is, and they're like, and then she's like, well, if I had that much money, I could afford to be nice too. But they're not bad people.
Right. The mom is more cynical. The poor mom is more cynical than that. She has that snarky, sarcastic side to her, and the daughter has a touch of it, but they didn't portray everybody in a very typical, cookie cutter way of how rich people are and how poor people are. it almost was the other way. It almost seemed like the poor people came off a little bit more like rich people would, and then the rich people, came off differently too. So it was interesting, but like the house in this movie, I mean, by the time you're like, 2/3 into this, you feel like you live there yourself. Yep. You become so familiar. The house becomes a character, and it is a character at that point. Once you get to this underground layer that
Whoa.
This isn't a spoiler for you, is it?
Yes.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And I totally agree with everything that you said. And while the focus is on, the rich people, and I think it's very accurate, I think it's also accurate of how conniving and sinister people without money can be. And obviously the whole point of this movie is, what they would do to get to that point, and it starts slowly, right? It starts with tutoring, right? And then it grows, and then you quickly find out what the plot is too. And that's one thing about this movie though, because I'm not big on foreign films. Like it's hard to follow for me just because subtitles, whatever. This was literally the easiest movie to follow. And as I'm watching it and as I'm watching it unfold, I had no idea where it's going to go. And I'm glad that you guys said that about the horror movie aspect of it. This isn't straight up horror at all. It definitely has elements. I know there's one shot in this movie with the fucking guy with his head, sticking his head up. That fucking shot alone is more horrific than 90% of the horror out today, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not only, about class and the rise and what you would do to get there, the diabolical nature of people. Also, though, it's like because these people don't have money, they have to resort to ways, and they're very cunning and they're very witty and they're very adaptable, obviously. And I loved watching them. They felt like the villains, from that first shot in the beginning where they're trying to get Wi-Fi, where they're trying to get, and it's like, oh, okay. Like you can kind of relate to that, I've been really broke before. Shit, I was really broke like a couple of weeks ago. So it's like you can see it and you're like, oh, wow. Like the horrible kind of shitty nature of people just comes out like that, and they kind of prey on people like this. And to see it all evolve the way it did, I thought it was one of the coolest experiences ever. And then it won the Oscar. And I didn't know how to feel about that because that, depending on who you ask, that's a whole thing in itself. Like, oh, fuck the Oscars, you get those people. But yeah, but at the same time, at least it's a decent film. Like this isn't like Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it won 4 awards. I thought
it did. It won 4 Oscars, man, and it's incredible. Like when I watched it, it literally made me feel things. Like so many different scenes. I'll go to one scene too where Lacey and I were talking about this. I've never seen kind of a sex scene, like a love scene, done kind of so accurately, like so true to life.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking exactly the same thing. It didn't feel staged or, like people were trying to look hot or polished or anything like that. It was really normal and really accurate and really natural.
Yes. Yes. What did you think about that scene, Alex?
Oh, it made me so uncomfortable. No, it was too realistic in a way, and the whole circumstance of what was going on during it.
Right, the kid.
Oh, well, yeah.
Right.
What a way to bring everything. You could put all this stuff on paper, man, but if you have a director that could bring these types of scenes to life and create the tension that was created, during, to put it all together like that. Like, I just can't gush over the cinematography enough. It's almost, dare I say, perfection in a way.
Yes!
It's almost perfect in that sense. Yeah, everything that they're trying to bring to life and bring you along for the journey for, it all conveys properly.
Yes.
It's interesting because, huh?
Right. Yeah, sorry. I'm gushing over what you're saying. Continue. I'll shut up.
It's crazy because I saw this in a really horrible circumstance. Like, I kept having to stop this movie, so I watched it on 4 separate occasions, and the one of them was in between my app not working. And this is to its credit. Through all that, I was completely invested and along for the ride every second that this movie was playing. And nothing took me out of it, nothing distracted me, and nothing took the focal point, away from what's going on. It's just like something, if I had to describe why you should watch this movie, I would say, like, you might be turned off by hearing it's all subtitles and it's 2 hours of reading and all that type of stuff, and it's, foreign or whatever. But I'll tell you, man, like, it might be a hard sale if I was trying to get my wife to watch this. Like, oh, yeah, it's going to be this, but trust me, at the end, you'll feel this. Just do it. Just sit through it, no matter how hard that might be for you. I know a lot of people don't dig subtitles. Break it up into 4 ways like I did by accident because I was at work.
Right.
Do it on purpose if you need to, but by the time this is over, you're going to go, you know what? I'm better off for watching this.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That makes
Little
me sad.
things too, like the scene where the Mr. Kim, the father, is trying to get a job as the driver for the rich people. So they go to the Mercedes dealership so he can get familiar with the inside of a Mercedes Benz,
Right.
So he won't look like a novice when he goes to get this job. Like, that's a little detail, but it was brilliant. It was, I don't know. I mean, they're all just in the car going, okay, now this and this, and okay, oh, is that like a touch screen? And he's like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. And then Brian goes, as resourceful as these people are, I kind of find it hard to believe they didn't have jobs before.
Yeah, like, what? Why
that's
now?
True.
Yeah, you guys are just hanging out in the basement all your life for what reason? But it also, like, when I really like the way the rich people came off too, like when they invited the girl over for the birthday party and even the driver, and they said, we'll pay you overtime and stuff like that. Like, and even when she told the husband, he goes, good. Normal rich people are pretty snobby and they're pretty stingy and they don't want to really give extras or anything or be generous with their money and everything. So everybody came off very different than you would expect, and it only added to the movie.
Right.
By not making them stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Well, it made, I think both sides were very sympathetic in their own ways.
Yeah.
And like, as far as the rich family, I didn't hate them. Even when you've got this poor family who's doing all this conniving stuff to get these jobs, like, as far as like getting other people fired, like that whole TB thing. Oh my God.
God.
But the rich people, they didn't want to embarrass the people that they were getting rid of. So rather than bring up the reason that they were actually firing them, they would come up with another reason to get rid of them just because they didn't want to do that, because they're not mean people. They're nice people. So you feel I kind of feel for all of them. It was really just, I love when a movie makes me do that.
Absolutely. Now, the plot itself is exactly what we've been talking about. One by one, they start replacing, the rich people's help in conniving ways. That they get the one lady fired, and that with are they oranges or something? Some
peaches.
kind of fruit?
Peaches.
Yes, millions of peaches. Peaches for me. But yeah, that was a cool way to do that even as well. So, I'm wondering where this is going. So basically they all replace everything. You said the dad's a driver, you got the kids being tutored, you got all the bases covered, so they have fully infiltrated this. Now, at this point, I'm like, where is this going to go? I figured, okay, since it's talked about in the horror community and I'm thinking this is going to go dark and they're going to just like take their identities or something like that. I'm like, my mind's kind of leaning towards that. And then that original maid comes back, and that's where the plot really opens towards the end.
Thickens there, man. Yeah. Before that, I thought I was watching Us, where they're just going to be replaced. I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Exactly. So, and I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going to end well for her, but like, I have kind of an idea where this is going. Oh no, you mentioned the fucking basement earlier. So yeah, she's been hiding her husband down there because he owes money, I believe, to loan sharks, and he's just happy as a fucking clam to be there.
No, respect.
Respect.
Yeah, respect, he says. Now, I want to ask you guys, what do you feel about the ending here where not to get to the end, but I just want to discuss it, though, where the guy, he's going around at the end and I don't know how many spoilers you want to give away, because you're right, probably most people haven't watched this, so go to Hulu and check it out. So I'll be vague about it, but the people who've seen it will know what I mean. So what the guy's doing at the end party, what the driver dad does to the main dad of the rich dad, why do you think he did that? Is it just because of when he did the sniffing, like,
yep, the smell.
that it basically he thought that was looking down on him and he just couldn't take that anymore? Is that what we're supposed to get out of that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
He snapped. He snapped.
But but he never was treated poorly. That's what I found strange.
No, but he never said anything to his face, and neither did she. But when they were hiding under the table and he heard them discussing it, he knew that's how they really felt. So then he starts noticing these things, like every time they hold their nose, every time they roll down the window in the car. He notices that. And then at the end, if you'll notice, like the very scene you're talking about, when the rich guy is going to, because the keys have fallen under the body, and so when he's going to get the keys, he's holding his nose, and it's like he doesn't want to try to, like, he's not trying to, even in that moment, even in that moment when the guy is dead, I'm not going to say who, but when the guy is dead, the rich guy is concerned about the smell. So it's that is what, like, that's what pushes him over the edge. And he's just like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Like, I am so sick of this. And I get it. Like, I understand where he's coming from. I understand how this has been, like, needling him. And every time he sees them roll down a window, and every time he now knows why. Before they were probably doing it and he never noticed. But now he knows.
Yeah, but he only smells like a washcloth. I mean, is that really an insult?
Like when you boil a rag.
Yeah, like, what is the problem? Like, so what? I'd say, gee, I smell like a boiled rag.
Well, they did mention too the smell of a basement.
Right.
And that's
musty.
a very distinct smell. And I've known people who smell that way. And it's like there are places like, okay, I had a friend who
JP knows them.
I had a friend who lived in her place for a long time with no power, and it was and it just got, the smell was it's not like a rotten food smell or like a dead smell or anything. It is a basement smell. That's exactly what it is. And it gets into everything. It gets into the fabric. It gets even into the non-porous stuff. If she brings something out of her house, that's what it's going to smell like. And you can't get rid of it. Yeah. So it's like, I know, I'm very, very well acquainted with that smell. And I know I know with her. And it's like a powerful thing. But the person themselves probably don't even notice it because they live in it. Right. So it's like if you know people with pets and they don't, they might. Oh
God, when it smells like cat piss in the whole house or something, or in the basement at least.
Yeah, and they might not even know it.
No,
they don't even have a cat.
Yeah, they're like, what cat? So, wow. So Parasite, amazing. It's on Hulu, guys. How do you rate this one, Jamie?
Straight up 5. It is deserving of all. It's deserving of all the accolades that it got. I absolutely adore it.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a 5, man. There's some imagery in this movie that is so memorable. And the cinematography, like you said, the house as a character, the two families, the dynamic, obviously, you know, the subtext of the movie of class and what people will do to get there, and just everything about it was so perfect. And like Alex said, it's the way it was delivered. You know, that build up to that end where she's cooking the ramdan and she does it perfect.
What's ramdan?
I didn't even know before this, but I want some now.
It looks good though, man. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I'm like 8 minutes away. I'm like, oh no, we're about to get into the finale. And what a hell of a finale it was. And oh my God, what a movie. And then
it was like a Ferris Bueller moment right
yes.
there.
Yes. Yeah, you got to jump on trampolines and shit. So it was amazing. I thought this movie, you know, it's so hard when you get the Oscar for Best Picture thrown in there too. That just throws everything for a tailspin. It's like, oh, everybody wants to snub their nose to it or whatever. But I'll tell you, everybody that I've talked to, mostly everyone, they've loved it. And I can't agree more. And I'm so glad that you loved it, Jamie. But did Alex love it?
I cannot deny a 5 again.
Holy shit.
I don't know what to say. This movie leaves you with nothing to be desired.
I'm so happy right now.
Literally, dude. I'm telling you, like, I couldn't believe it. As even midway through it, once things developed and the woman comes and says, hey, I left something in the basement and all that, once that plot thickens, it's like, ooh, wow, where are we going here? And it just got so intense. And at that point, you're so familiar with these characters. They did such a good job, and I love the subtlety of their acting, too.
Yep.
I love that it felt very lived in. Like, these 4 people felt like a real family to me. Like, let's not forget, these are just actors who are just punching a clock and pretending to be someone else. But, like, in this moment, when you're watching this, I didn't feel that way. I felt these people are family. And the obnoxious wife, and even that weird scene when the guy like smashes the drink when they're drinking whiskey, and he's making like he's gonna hurt his wife, and then he's like, "See, did you believe me?" You know, like just all these weird things that just made it very personal and very lived in. I guess was all I could really think of saying. Like, it's just an experience, and when you're done, you feel like that was a fucking ride. That's a movie,
right?
And you don't even know what to say at that point. You know, it's like, wow, this is how good movies are? I haven't noticed that in a while. No wonder why these things win awards when they're good.
Yes! Oh my God, I'm so happy right now to hear you say that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I guess we have to go pretty spoiler free. I will fix anything I might have said in post-production, and because this is definitely one, it's not like, you know, something else we reviewed this month where everybody has seen it. So yeah, we'll definitely recommend go to Hulu while it's on there. Parasite.
Yes.